Yes, welcome along to episode 9 of Upping The Ante in association with Bet365 with David Jennings and Johnny Dineen, counting down to the 2024 Cheltenham Festival. And Johnny, Happy New Year. We're in 2024.
Yeah.
But before we look forward, Johnny, let's look back a tiny little bit, okay? 2023 for Johnny Dineen, the punter. Was it good or bad?
I was fine. It was fine. I won some few quid anyway. Yeah, I was. It was heading towards a really good year for me, but it fell asunder halfway through, and I gave back a share of it now, to be fair. But look, I did win anyway. So
does that mean it could be good news for us though? Because it might mean you might need to do Upping The Ante again next series to,
keep the wolf from the door.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I keep the wolf. He's very close to my door a lot of the time now.
So tell me this, okay? Your best result of 2023 was, when you look back on it, the one result where you go, oh God, thank God that one.
I tell you, the best result I had for last year wasn't a horse bet at all. It was a soccer bet. My best result for the whole year was Man City in the Champions League, winning it, because even though they won, they were poxed, and it taught me that I shouldn't be betting on that stuff at all, really. Do you know what I mean? So it was a lesson learned without actually having to pay for it. Do you know what I mean? So normally you pay for those things, but I even halfway through that match in the final, I'm looking at it saying, I shouldn't have been involved here. I know nothing about this stuff, really. Do you know what I mean? It's like I backed them. I think they were about 8-11 when they were. I think halfway through the semi-final against Real Madrid, and once they got to the final, I thought it's like you sit back and watch it. They're going to win easy. Next thing, with about they only scored one goal with half an hour to go, I'd say. But after at half time, I was saying this is not going according to plan anyway. So I haven't had a sports bet since.
I haven't
had a sports since, and I won't be having one in a hurry either. I think I'll stick to the horses from now on anyway.
Okay. So your best result, I wasn't expecting that, as Jamie Lawson would say, was Man City winning the Champions League final. And your worst result? My worst result was in, I suppose you get a bad beat as nearly the worst result. And one particular one that sticks out in my mind was Janadil in Fairy House. Oh, fell at the last.
Yeah, and fell at the last with the race, won obviously, but you couldn't even blame the jockey or anything like that. He just, he jumped it. It's not like he rushed into the fence and hit it and said, oh, he's going to fall. But he jumped it. Perfect, and for that split second, he said, hi, little daisy. And the next thing, geez, where's he gone? He's after disappearing. You know what I mean?
Shishkin,
yeah, it just fell. Yeah, exactly. That kind of a thing. And I think I backed the winner afterwards. I chanced Firefox in the last race that day against Ile Atlantique, but I would have been playing with their money instead of trying to get me on back. It was a big difference for me, that horse actually falling. Because I'd say I had a big go off of memory. I had a big go off of Janet. And he man rode it perfect. He sent it on the right time. He eased any worries, turning and wind clear. I said, race one, all he's do is jump. But then jumps it perfect. I said, oh, thank God. The next thing, bang, gone. So that was one that I can remember now. It was I think you always remember real bad beats.
You can, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So tell me this, how are you feeling about 2024, Johnny?
Hopefully, yeah. Look, I mean, I still have the same appetite for it as I always had.
That's
anyway.
Good.
I always had a good appetite for it.
Yeah. We've been to lunch together, yeah.
Yeah. So look, I'm hopeful. Just all you can be in this game now is hopeful.
Okay, so what do we say? How many of the last 20 years would you have been successful?
Bar two, but I still at this time in my life, I'm miles back from where the level I used to be at the same time. But look, I think most people are, in this game, to be honest. If you can poke your head in front at all nowadays, you're doing okay, I think.
Absolutely. Well done on a successful 2023. And we must say, he did tip Luke Humphreys to win the darts as well, so it's a pity you gave up the sport.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
Because you obviously know your darts.
I watched it. I love watching the sport, but I can watch the sport without betting on it. I watched a lot. I think the darts was fantastic.
Unbelievable last night.
It was.
Unbelievable.
The whole tournament was from the last 16 down was a great tournament. I didn't really watch some of the start of it, but the standard in it is incredible.
Do you remember who I tipped on our little Ante-Post segment for the darts?
You tipped Peter Wright, didn't you?
Peter Wright, yeah, Peter wrong.
Peter went out.
Beaten in the first round.
He did. He went out fairly tamely. Yeah. Look, the darts is that's what I think about sport. I know you need looking horses, but you need a lot of looking sport too. I mean, he should have been out twice, the winner Humphreys, but yet once he hung in, he got stronger, and he won in merit. He's a great player too, yeah.
Okay, there you go. We better get on with the show, Johnny, because we have a tip from Johnny this week. Yes, stay tuned for our festival teams later on in the show, because Johnny Dineen, unbelievably, has got a tip for us.
You spoke, we listened. Introducing Race Cards Redefined. free, brand new and unique race cards tailored for your needs. Our new and improved standard race card is the punter's favourite and is everything you need to make your selection. Get the maximum amount of information in the palm of your hand with Expert View. Cover all areas and get all the same information as our newspaper. With Compact View, you can make a quick decision on who to back. View more runners and more odds on one race. Which race card will you choose?
So, as ever here on Upping The Ante, we're going to kick off with our questions from the crowd. And the first question this week comes in from Michael Walker. The big talking point of the week, Johnny, it's the spat between Patrick Mullins and his cousin Danny. Michael wants to know, has Patrick Mullins been interpreted wrong? Okay, so he wants to know our views on this argument between Patrick and Danny Mullins. He thinks Patrick has been interpreted wrong. He said he told Danny not to go up his inside because he didn't want to inconvenience both horses, and both of them could have ended up falling. So for Upping The Ante viewers that don't know the story here, Patrick Mullins obviously was waving the finger, as you might at me some weeks, and he was obviously not happy after the Faugheen Novice Chase at Limerick. Gaelic Warrior was a very impressive winner from Alette Toms, ridden by Danny Mullins, and Patrick came out in an interview afterwards and said that he told Danny not to go up his inside, but Danny did it anyway. Johnny Dineen, I am intrigued to know your thoughts on this Mullins spat.
Look, I suppose it's probably an unfortunate enough incident. I listened to Ruby said that he said anything. I listened to him. I was in an RT that he said that if he was riding one that was going to go right, that he told the other jockeys that don't go down my inside because I can't control this horse. This is slightly different insofar as Patrick Mullins seems to be specifying a particular juncture of the race, like don't come down my inside at the second last. You know what I'm saying? So that made it. I think that made it slightly more dirty than just a general saying don't come down my inside at any stage in the race. Like there'll be a gap at the second last. Don't you poke your head in there? That kind of a thing. Look, I think it all boils down to the fact that Mullins has, like, they have so many horses, and then they have multiple representation in these races. And the bottom line is they want to win these races. So, like, if they have 3 or 4 horses in a race, I mean, they will want to, in all, and I'm not saying that they're not all going to do their best, but the one that they think has the most likely winner isn't going to be inconvenienced by another one of their horses, surely, at the same time. I think something similar happened in Gordon, where Easy Game was knocked down in a race there by one of their own horses. Okay. In a chase where he poked his nose up the inside. I think it was Brian Hayes, and somebody knocked him over on the horse that was in front. So they lost prize money as a result, and I suppose they want to get as much prize money as they possibly can. I think the big thing here is that they have too many horses for these races, and as a result, you're going to have a situation where horses, like if they have a horse that needs a soft lead, say, there's no way in the world that it's going to be harried by one of their own horses, is it? It's common sense, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? So if you have a horse in that stable, basically, like, you're a number, and if you don't have the services of the stable jockey, then it's not really what you ideal, I don't think, anyway.
Okay, well, 2 things on this. First of all, I think the thing that annoyed people was, this is a horse race and every horse should have an equal chance of winning that race. But the other thing is the flip side not of this is that can punters now have confidence in these multiple Willie Mullins runners in races? Because Danny is saying, I want to win this race for myself and the owner, and I don't care what Patrick tells me. I'm going to do what I would do in any horse in the race. So a lot of people are saying we can't have confidence that these races are being run properly because of what Patrick said. But is the flip side of that saying, well, Danny tried to win the race and give the horse the best ride he could. So there was no team tactics because he threw the team tactics out the window.
Yeah, but if jockeys don't obey orders, they won't be on him the next time. He can do all the tactics he like.
Yeah, he's ridden a few winners for Willie since.
Well, Robert Power hasn't ridden for him since he rode Stormy Island in Cheltenham at the same time.
Yeah,
so
he is retired though.
But he rode a long time after that, all the same. So, like, and they seem to be not happy that he left Rachel Blackmore up his inside on that particular occasion. I don't know.
So do you think this could have long-term ramifications for Danny Mullins?
No, I don't. I think that it could have not long-term marginal ramifications for the stable itself.
Okay.
Insofar as people might look and say, look, we're fourth string and third string in races here, and are we really? Do they really care? Like, who wins the race? Like, if put it this way, if you had a horse trained by another trainer, and you wouldn't be telling him, like, you can't come down my inside, can you? Like, you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? So I just think it's probably they're a victim of their own success.
Should Patrick have said what he said?
But he shouldn't have said it on the telly anyway, should he? Like, I assume this kind of stuff goes on all the time, and it's never publicised.
He was nearly too honest, almost.
Well, honest is one way to describe it. You could describe it any way you like. But look, I would say that there's, like, when you have 4 and 5, like, surely Aidan O'Brien comes into, and he has 5 horses in the Derby, and he tells fellas what to do. He tells them, you make the running, you do this and you do that, and you'll come back, all this. So, like, it's nothing new about this kind of stuff. Of course it is. And look, I just think that when you're in, look, everybody wants to have a horse with Willie Mullins, by the looks of things. Everyone, English, Irish, the whole lot. So there is a price to pay for having horses in there too at the same time.
There you go, Michael. I don't know if we've solved the argument between Patrick and Danny Mullins, but that was our thoughts on the Big Limerick Spat. And our second question this week comes in from Chloe Kennelly, and in keeping with our top 5 team from the last couple of weeks, Chloe wants us to rank these hurdlers from 1 to 5, Johnny. So we'll go from 5 down to 1. They are Faheen, Hurricane Fly, Constitution Hill, Istabrack, and See You Then. So Johnny, I was born in 1985, so I can't remember See You Then.
Okay.
So I'll let you put See You Then somewhere between 1 and 5. So where are you putting See You Then, first of all?
4.
4. Oh,
Yeah.
so not 5. 4. Okay,
No.
so who's your number 5 then?
5 for me is Faheen.
Yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't have him in the same breath as some of these horses at all.
Would you not?
No, not really, though. Like, he won 1 champion hurdle where he was allowed boss a race. He was a very good horse, obviously. He wouldn't be on the list if he wasn't a very good horse, but something has to be 5, and it was a pretty clear-cut 5 for me anyway.
So clear-cut 5 is Faheen, 4 is See You Then, 3?
See You Then was 4 because he did win 3 champion hurdles at the same time. Like, he was a really good horse. Saying that, he was beating the likes of Gabe Reef, who were past their sell-by date. You know what I mean? He was maybe 2 years past being a real top horse. And Brown's Gazette turned around 1 year when he was Even's favourite as well in one of them races. So that made it a bit easier for him. And I
do like how you remember the prices, Johnny, every time. Yeah.
Well, Brown's Gazette,
40 years ago, but he was even money favourite.
Brown's Gazette was famous. It mightn't even been Evens. I think he was a shade of odds on, but Dermot Brown rode him. That's a pretty famous race.
Okay.
And but he had a great style of running. He used to come at the last every single time. If you watched him winning 1 champion hurdle, it was the same as the other 2.
Played late.
Played at the last.
Archibald type of stuff.
No, not Archibald. Maybe a length behind, but had won. Like, had Barrett made a bad mistake, it was going to win every single race. He was a very good horse. 3, I went with Hurricane Fly.
Yes.
Like, he won 2 and was placed. Another was the longevity of the horse was fantastic, and won a lot of Grade 1 races outside of Cheltenham as well. Was able to take.
I always loved the way Ruby Walsh spoke about Hurricane Fly as, and when you're coming down to the last at Leopardstown, and Leopardstown was his track, because I don't think we saw him at his peak at Cheltenham either time. But when he was coming down to last Leopardstown, it didn't matter what stride you were on, that he didn't slow down. He always got from A to B in a specific amount of time and didn't lose any ground ever at the last hurdle, and he just was able to sort his feet out.
Yeah, and he was a brilliant horse. Yeah, of course he was.
You made a few quid off him over the years, Hurricane Fly?
No, I'm not so sure that I did. I don't think I did. I think I could have been in the Solid camp a few times against him now.
Jeski,
yeah, Jeski, yeah. I don't think he was definitely wasn't an ATM for me anyway. That's for certain.
Number 2.
2 I went with Istabrack.
Okay.
Look, sure, Istabrack is Istabrack, 3-time winner, brilliant horse too. He was a great champion hurdle, but he was beating the same horse up kind of a couple of times. He was beating with the Theatre World, I'm sure.
Theatre World, Loire, Blue Royal.
Yeah, he was beating good horses too, because he did beat. Like, one of his better performances, a 2.5 mile French Holly, hard held in Liverpool. Like, the French Holly was a real good horse, good horse. Look, fellas would be saying he's more done than Constitution Hill. I don't know. I'd be maybe it's a recency bias, but I'm going to go with Constitution Hill number one.
Yeah, I think so. Like he's doing extraordinary things, isn't he? It's visually as well, isn't it?
Well, he's making he's only met State Man once, but made him look like an ordinary horse. Whereas State Man is a brilliant horse in his own right. You know what I mean? So like if Constitution Hill wasn't around, State Man would be probably capable of maybe winning 3 champion hurdles on his own, maybe, you know what I mean, that kind of way. So look, I'm going to go with Constitution Hill over Easterback. I mean, fellas could say he hasn't done this, he hasn't. It's very hard to win 5 when you've only ran in 1, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, so, like, yeah, he hasn't won 5. When he wait till he wins 5. But even if he didn't win 5, maybe if he got injured, that doesn't take away from his excellence at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. So there you go. Johnny Dineen's number 1 is Constitution Hill. So our third question this week comes in from Paul McKenna, and Paul says, Johnny, you completely dissed the British Challenge at Cheltenham early on in the series. Are you now ready to revise those thoughts? And is it going to be much closer than you thought a couple of weeks ago, the Prestbury Cup? He thinks Britain might actually shade it and win back the Prestbury Cup, and he wants to know what we think the score will be. So the Prestbury Cup, Ireland v Britain. Paul is saying that the home team could win it. Do you agree?
Paul could do with seeing a doctor fairly urgently, I think, to myself. Stop. Not unearthly. Not a hope.
Wow.
No chance in the world.
None.
It was, what was it, 18-10 last year? I think, and it was 20-8 the year before.
Yeah.
I said earlier on, I'm sure I said 21-7 maybe. I'd be still sticking around that area. They won't get 10 anyway, not a hope. They won't do as well as last year.
They won't get 10.
They've
won already, so it's 1-0 already.
But they got 4 last year in the last day, and the day they often maybe got 1. They got 4 the last day. So they only had 6 heading into the last day.
So who are you giving them?
Look, obviously you give them Constitution, but that's the only rock-solid horse they have. They have horses with chances, the likes of Jericho, the Repenay.
So Jericho the Repenay is favourite for the Supreme.
But that doesn't mean he's going to win.
Yeah, but he's favoured.
He's favoured. He's a chance. Yeah, he's a 4-to-1 shot. Like,
Yeah,
4 or 5-to-1 chance.
Right, could be Constitution Hill.
You've got John Bond as a chance.
Yeah.
5-to-2 chance.
Dice Sardinos favourite for the Mayor's Novice Hurdle.
So he's chance 7-to-2 shot at the same time. You know
Good chance.
But they're not as clear cut as some of the Irish ones. Not the same.
Okay, well, who are the Irish
Gaelic Warrior, Dyna Blue. They're all under. They're 2-to-1 and less them horses at the same time. Yeah. I don't know. Look, what else has he got? They've got Shishkin with a chance. They've got. What else would they have? Like Henderson has. They've got like the likes of Stay Away Faith.
Sergino
and
Burdett Road.
Yeah, that's a chance. Yeah.
So they're almost favourites to win the.
Well, they're first and second, but we haven't really seen an Irish horse yet. Like, okay, they're first and second favourites, but neither of them will be favoured when the time comes. Yeah, okay. I would guess that there'll be an Irish horse.
Could have Majborough or
usurp those horses. I think
Salvatore Mundy or
maybe they won't. I don't know, but look, they have a chance. But like they have some nice horses to run, but they have bar.
Stay Away Faye.
Constitute. Just Stay Away. Another chance. Like that's all. Chance. What other horses have they got? Obviously, they'll have horses. They're going to win a handicap or 2 or maybe more. Mm-hmm. But I'd be saying like they won't. They're not in any stronger position than they were last year. I don't think so. I don't see anyone there that's going to bust the place open with winners. Like Henderson could have a few, all right, but. Will he have any more than 2 or 3? More than likely not.
Paul Nicholls could have 2 or 3.
Paul Nicholls struggled to have 2, I'd say. Myself, I don't know. But obviously they're going to win races that you wouldn't expect. But the Hunters Chase, they won it last year. It was a race that they hadn't been doing that well up to then. Look, I don't know. As for guards, like getting 14 anyway is unpriceable. Unpriceable, yeah.
No chance.
None in the wide earthly world. None in the wide earthly world. I mean, there's not even going to be betting on that.
I did say that about a horse last week as well.
But I did not. But there's not even going to be betting on that Prestbury Cup, is there? Like?
Oh, but of course there will be. Yeah.
What?
Well, they'll be betting on it.
Like, what price would it be? Like?
Well, I don't know. In Ireland, it'd be probably 1-6 or 1-7.
Well, I'll back him with anyone now at 1-6 or 1-7.
Would you?
Yes, absolutely.
But you'll get a price.
I'd have anything you like on him at 8-1 on or better.
You think that's a great price?
It's finding it on the ground.
There you go. Find it on the ground. Ireland will be winning the Prestbury Cup once again, Paul. And our fourth and final question this week comes in from Garrett Cummins. And Garrett is not letting us go without mentioning Ante-Post, who myself and Johnny stood in this very spot 7 days ago and made a stupid case for Ante-Post beating Stateman. It was one of those races, Johnny, where I was standing in the stand and coming down to the last, I actually was starting to get excited here. I said, yes, I've got this right, even though we missed the second last. And I said, go on, Darryl, go on. And passing me, I said, Jesus, he might actually get there. And then he was blown away. And it was one of those races, Johnny, where you say to yourself, what on earth was I at? I don't know if you felt the same, but I felt very much so. I was egg all over my face. But anyway, Garrett wants to know, we're both keen on Imperi Pass last week in the Madison Hurdle. Were we disappointed with the performance? Where would we go with Imperi Pass from here? And also, he says, Ballymore winners, when you look through the last decade, it's not exactly a who's who of celebrities in there. There have been very disappointing winners of the Ballymore in the last decade. Some of them trained by Willie Mullins as well, including Sir Gerhard. How come the Ballymore winners aren't producing the Ballymore isn't producing superstars like it used to? So we'll go with 3 parts to this question. First of all, Imperi Pass last week. Were you ashamed of yourself like I was?
Well, I didn't have any bet in the race, to be honest.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
I did kind of fancy Imperi Pass, but not enough to back it at the same time.
You were more convincing standing here last week, let me tell you.
But I thought at 2 to 1 he was a fair price, now, to be honest.
Yeah.
But
So
look,
you didn't back him?
I didn't, but I did kind of half fancy him. But I definitely it kept me out of the race. Like I didn't know what to back in the race, to be honest. Like I know other fellas that should know what they were doing were back in the state, man. So I said to myself,
That wasn't me anyway.
I leave this one go
Okay.
on. You know what I mean? So
was the vibes you were getting was that the Mullins camp would have been surprised if Imperi Pass finished ahead of State Man?
yeah, I was kind of getting that one that you should be on State Man. And the fact that I fancied Imperi
You have
Pass.
my number, Johnny.
Stop.
You have my number. You can let me know these things.
I had no bet in the race anyway myself.
Okay.
But look,
Were you disappointed with him?
I was, yeah. And I thought I thought he'd win coming to the last for a stride or two. I did. I did think he'd, for maybe 20 yards, I was saying, yeah, he'll get him now, you know what I mean? But I didn't think he offered much resistance in the finish, and as to where he's going to go now.
Would you go stairs hurdle?
I don't think you've any business going champion hurdle, and you've got to go from 2 miles to 3 miles in Cheltenham. There's nothing in between.
There is a chance if he did run in the stairs hurdle that he might not come off the bridle, isn't there?
Look, it's hard to know. Like you've seen the likes of like a lot of 2 milers don't stay 3 miles.
Lanny Power.
Yeah, but you have the likes of Solwit who was maybe a horse that was belting his head against Hurricane Fly for years, and suddenly they put him up to 3 miles and he'd no bother getting the trip. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Now, I suppose the fact that this fella has already run 2, 4 or 5 in Cheltenham and winning easy, there's every chance he'll stay 3 miles. I thought he was a bit underwhelming now myself in the finish. I thought his finishing effort was tame. Even when the likes of Solwit was getting beaten in them races, he was sticking at it better than Imperi Pass.
Was it speed or stamina he was beaten for us? Leperson or class or what?
I don't know. The jury's out on him as far as I'm concerned now anyway. If he did appear in the stairs hurdle, I'd be reluctant to back him, I think, at the same time. There's a chance he might go chasing too, is there no?
Really? Even this late?
Well, I mean...
I suppose you could go for the Arkle, yeah.
You could run in the I suppose, you could go for maybe something like that. There is a novice chase in the Fairyhouse, and I think it's the 11th of January. They could pop him into that, and then should run him maybe in the double race for something like that. Who knows? It's still not too late to go chasing.
But as far as him potentially being a superstar, is that written off?
I think that's gone as far as I'm concerned. It is anyway. Like he could be a very good staying horse yet. I suppose the fact that he's won at Ballymore, won it easy, and beaten the likes of Gaelic Warrior all ends up. It's like he is obviously a good horse on his day, but I just think it was a backward step from what he was doing last year.
Yeah, and the final part of that question then, Ballymore winners in the last decade. If we run down through them, you've still got the likes of Windsor Park in there, Willoughby Court, who obviously could have been a very good horse, who knows, Sir Gerhard, now Imperi Pass. And then you've got the likes of Envoy-Elen, who obviously has turned out to be a brilliant horse, even though we probably thought he might be the next Arkle. Faheen won the race.
Yeah,
Why is it not producing just superstars every year?
Well, one thing that I can't understand how it doesn't produce a 3 miler. It doesn't produce 3 milers at all for some reason. And you'd think it would be the logical step from 2.5 mile novice hurdle to produce a 3 mile chaser. It has produced weak winners. You must admit that. Windsor Park. Who else did you say there?
Willoughby Court.
Even Sam Crow was disappointing, even though he did win a Cheltenham race afterwards. But at the time, he looked like being a world-beaten horse. But then there has been a few good winners. The likes, few solid enough. Like York Hill was a good horse at the same time, even though he was hard to navigate around. He did win the following year's Turners or whatever they call it now. You know what I mean? And he was probably a hard horse to keep right. Faheen did win it. And turned out to be a good horse. Like the new one wasn't a bad horse. He was far off being a champion hurdle horse.
On the spot question, what started favourite for the Ballymore the year new one won it?
I know the horse.
5, 4.
Oh, no, don't tell me. Don't tell me.
Don't tell me we'll be going on
Pont
for
Alexander.
Very good, Johnny.
Yeah.
Pont Alexander.
Yeah, that's
who
it.
actually won, I think, the race at Navan when Don Cossack was in it.
Pont Alexander, and Mullins was tearing the place asunder there that day.
Yeah.
And he was one horse that was really, really weak in the betting.
Pont Alexander?
Yeah, really, really weak. And you'd say it would have been the other way around. You didn't mean to dead steam into him. And suddenly he was very weak. And the next thing, somebody said afterwards he never drank any water when he got over there, but he didn't win anyway, the usual stuff. But anyway.
You needed more than water
I did
afterwards.
actually. I faced him anyway, yeah. But look, I don't know really why. I suppose that these things can go in but you know what is a farce, or what is a laugh actually, is the notion that I listened to this rubbish the other night about that.
You're building up to this one, Johnny.
That you need a staying horse for the Supreme,
yeah, and
you need a fast horse for.
But Johnny, you're after saying, like you're completely contradicting
I'm
yourself.
not.
You are, Johnny, because you're just after saying it's unbelievable that the Ballymore hasn't produced 3 mile chasers, and now you're saying, this is rubbish, that you need a speed horse to win the Ballymore.
No, that's what the fellas are saying. I don't agree with that. Like,
you're after saying it yourself.
No, I know it's the fact that it hasn't produced one. I don't know what that even signifies. But
might it signify that you need a speed horse for the Ballymore?
But I don't know. I mean, it's 5 furlongs further than a 2 mile. You'd have to think if you had a speed horse, you'd run him in a 2 mile race.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like the fact that Isterbrack won it and Fahid won it, okay?
Yeah.
And both won champion hurdles. They were like 2 brilliant horses. That it turned the race into some sort of a champion hurdle trial.
Yeah, absolutely. But Johnny, do you not think there is logic to it? Because
zero. None.
Will
no
you let me
logic.
talk?
No, I can't let you talk. You're talking rubbish.
Can I explain myself, right?
Okay,
just 2 points, okay? One, the Supreme is the first race of the festival, okay?
Yeah.
In general, there is a frantic early pace in the Supreme. And in general, if you look back over the years, you've got Alfarov, you've got stayers who stayed on past speedier horses. Like Sprinter Sacra couldn't win a Supreme because they probably went too quick and he got to the front too soon and he was outstayed in a Supreme, okay? Whereas in the Ballymore, it's the second day, it's not as hot and heavy before the race. The excitement has kind of gone a little bit. It's not the first race of the festival. And they certainly go a shade slower for a lot of the first half of the race. So that places more of an emphasis on a turn of foot.
I don't agree with that at all. I don't agree with that. Look, the fact that I didn't know even horses know what days they were anyway. You're telling me that they know the difference between the Tuesday and the Wednesday?
Jockeys.
Look, maybe so. I wouldn't go with that one. I think if you have a horse that is a sharp horse or 2 mile, or you run him in 2 mile race, you don't run him in 2 mile 5, do you, like?
Right.
And if you have a 2 mile 5 horse, you don't run him into Supreme because they'll go off fast.
What about Imperial Pass last year though? He was after winning the Moscow Fly over 2 miles, and then he goes and wins the Ballymore with a turn of foot.
He beat the Model Kingdom over 2 miles at the same time. Do you know what I mean? I just think the fact that it was kind of labelled as some sort of a race that you could run a top 2 miler. Like Faheen would have won the Supreme, the Ballymore, or the Albert Bartlett year he was in Cheltenham. Do you know what I'm saying?
Would he? Would he?
Yes, he would.
Would he have beaten Vautour?
Oh, is that what won it? Maybe he wouldn't. Well, he wouldn't have been asked to beat him anyway. I didn't realise he was in the same race as him. But he was...
Johnny, this segment doesn't go well for you.
I'm off the bridle here ever so slightly. But I think like Isterbrack would have won both divisions, the 2 mile.
I'll give you that. Even though he fell over the line in the Ballymore.
Yeah, he did against Mighty Moss. Yeah. But like, I don't know. I just think that Ballymore, it goes in phases too. Like up to Constitution Hill is the first horse to win the Supreme and the Champion Hurdle. Is it back to back for about 40 years?
Probably because you need a stayer to win the Supreme.
I don't know. Look, we'll forget about it.
Let's get on with the show. You all right now, Johnny? Yeah. You're back on the bridle?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so now it's time for Performance of the Week, where Johnny Dineen counts down his top 3 performances of the last 7 days. So we obviously had the concluding stages of the Christmas festival at Leopardstown, and I presume that's where you're going.
Yeah,
number 3.
There were some good horses riding at a few meetings as well, but I went with Leopardstown. I went number 3, Irish Point.
Wow,
yeah, Irish Point looked very impressive to me. I know Hope by the Lee ran awful, didn't he? Like, to be fair, he looked really, really laboured, and maybe he didn't beat a whole lot, but he did win with some swagger at the same time. And he did, he has to have proved that he gets 3 miles and he gets it fairly easily. He was quite impressive from the last home. Okay, you could pick holes in what he beat, but his jumping was insane. It was like flicking over a hurdle, like a champion hurdle horse, or like a top hurdle horse at least. He was really, really effortless. And I didn't back him now, but at no stage would you like to be on any other horse except him anyway, in my eyes anyway. That race was over very, very early on, as long as his stamina held up, and it did with spades. Okay, they've got Ante-Post. Now I heard the owner of Brian Akerson saying that Ante-Post was their number 1. Yeah, maybe that's the case, but
who would you prefer between the two?
I mean, I'm not they're both in the same stable. So surely the guys in the stable have a better idea than I would. But without any inside knowledge or anything like that, I would be picking Irish Point over Ante-Post, class-wise anyway. I think he's a classier horse.
Okay, so number 3 was Irish Point. Number 2?
No, number 2 was. I'm trying to think now. What was my number 2 again?
Well, you told me before the show. Gaelic Warrior.
Oh yeah, Gaelic Warrior. Yeah, Gaelic Warrior.
You're off it now, Johnny.
Yeah,
it's hard when you're off it. Yeah. I'm just hoping you're a stay away fade.
Yeah,
and not a hard to ball.
Gaelic Warrior was immensely impressive. Yeah, aside from the shenanigans that went on down in Limerick, he was very impressive. His jumping was immaculate from the very first fence to. I don't think he made a semblance of an error, did he really? And his tacked fences, and that's just what you'd like to see for a horse like novice chaser, putting horses to the pin of their collar.
Did you think he was ridden a little bit differently in that at Punchestown, Paul just sat and said, right, away you go, you do what you want, and I'm a passenger. Whereas, do you think Patrick actually kind of didn't go as fast as we were probably expecting him to go, and slowed it up, leaving the back straight, and then quickened again? Was it a different Gaelic Warrior, more manageable Gaelic Warrior?
Well, I think he was fairly fast over the first couple of fences, though, wasn't he?
Yeah, and then he seemed to slow it down.
I'd say he just wanted to get a good posse, get a soft lead, and control the race from the front. I mean, he was 6 and 7 lengths in front of the second horse early on in the race, quite early on in the race. He definitely slowed bunched them up coming into the straight, obviously giving the horse in front of the breeder, and then moved on again. I think it was a very likeable effort anyway. He was if you backed him. And I had a small bet on that, no, not much, but if I did, but you were never ever in any day. Barring accidents, that race was over fairly on too, I thought.
And he'll win the Turners, won't he?
I just heard Barry Geraghty saying there in some programme that he'd be
our rival,
yeah,
off the fence, yeah, our rival, Johnny. Yeah.
He'd be I like listening to those fellas too, you know what I mean? They wouldn't make the same mistakes I do.
Great show with Tony and Barry and Vanessa, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Look, he just said that jumping the fences, that having a tendency to go one way or the other, is worse over a fence than over hurdles. So that's about the only negative. But if he doesn't jump all over the place, I'd say he'd definitely win. Yeah.
Okay, that's number 2 and number 1. Can you remember this one, Johnny?
I can. Yeah.
I think we all can, and if it's not who people think it is, I think we'll just give up.
Yeah, exactly.
Number 1 was?
Number 1 was without a doubt Galopin Des Champs. Yeah. It was one of the, I suppose, a performance from the ages, really, wasn't it? Like 23 lengths was that was some distance to put away them horses. I was pre-race. I actually backed that Jerry Calam, and pre-race I would have been favouring him slightly over Galopin Des Champs. Like Jerry Calam didn't do a lot wrong and was beat out of sight. Now maybe he didn't bring his A game or whatever, I don't know. But this was you'd have to. I hardly ever watch races live.
Well, did you go out to the stand? You were there.
I watched him. I was out the back of the stand and I looked between the two stands and I saw him passing. He was doing a million mile an hour in the running. Yeah, that's right.
But I went out to the stand to watch that race, soak up the atmosphere. It's the first time I've been at a race meeting outside of Cheltenham where there was a proper buzz atmosphere in the stand. There was barely standing room in the stand now.
Right.
And the horses were clapped with a circuit to run and cheered by racing fans, not drinkers,
right,
by racing fans. And as he came up the straight that day, it wasn't quite an Ole winning the Hennessy because that was extraordinary. He was a small man and everybody was behind an Ole. There was plenty of people in the stand that backed Jerry Calam and other horse appreciator or whatever in the race. But it was a kind of a moment where you'd be half. I know you hate all this soppy bull less.
Yeah, no.
But it was a moment where you'd be proud of Irish racing and you'd say, God, when you get races like this away from Cheltenham in Leopardstown, it's a great game.
Yeah,
it's a great game, and people do get behind it. And the atmosphere was there, the result was there, and it was probably the best performance I've seen at Leopardstown.
Yeah, it's definitely up there with one of the best I've ever seen there, is right. It was from a staying chaser. Like he finished like a champion chaser in a staying chase. So look, he definitely laid down like a marker that if he produces that kind of stuff at Cheltenham, he definitely win the Gold
Cup. Well, that's it, Johnny. You said he won't win the Gold Cup earlier on in the series. Are you revising that opinion?
You'd have to. Yeah, you'd have to. Like I did fancy Jerry Colomb at that stage, but like 23 lengths is a huge gap. And at one stage in the race, I was very happy with Jerry Colomb.
Were you?
After about 2 miles, I was very, very happy with him. He was on the tail of the favourite. He's jumping away grand. He was travelling well. And then about 5 out, I just seen Kennedy giving him a little tap down the shoulder. I said that was the first little sign of it, and then he gave him another one about 2 fences later, and then suddenly he was laboured, he was beat. But maybe he didn't give his run, but 23 lengths is almost insurmountable in my eyes anyway. And if he turns up in the same form, there's no offers.
No offers. Galloping the Shams in the Gold Cup, and he was Johnny Dineen's Performance of the Week. Eyecatcher of the Week time here on Upping The Ante, where Johnny Dineen reveals the one horse who caught his eye over the last 7 days. Johnny, how'd you get on this week?
Yeah, look, I went with an obvious horse. He was beat, but I thought he ran an absolute stonking race. Was Redemption Day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Redemption Day.
Yeah, I thought Redemption.
A lot of people lost a lot of money on that horse.
Yeah, I was in a hole now and I chanced laying him. I just closed my eyes and said I'd take a chance. I inclined to do that with favourites in bumpers, just hoping for the best. But anyway, I got away. But he pulled and dragged for at least 1.5 miles or 6 of that race. Even turning in, he was still pulling and dragging. Like, to finish as close as he did to the winner was an excellent effort in my eyes.
Yeah.
And I actually checked him there. I didn't realise that he was 6-year-old, so he's 7, so he's ineligible for the bumper in Cheltenham. I would have put him up as a horse for the champion bumper in Cheltenham on the back of that run. But if they're fencing Jalan Didaris, I think your man pulled his chance away against Jalan Didaris. I have no doubt in my mind he'd rag Jalan Didaris if he made him again anyway.
But Johnny, do you not think that Jalan Didaris is just a different type of horse that will keep finding? He's a good horse, Jalan Didaris.
Oh, he is a good horse. You cannot win races doing what Redemption Day did at the same time. If you saw for like this stuff for 13 furlongs of a 16 furlong race, like he did remarkably well to be still on the bridle turning in. And he didn't give up. He's only beat a couple of lengths.
Did you think he'd still win a furlong out when he was still kind of on the bridle?
Well, I was sideways watching it for starters. But I was obviously giving myself that hope, that saying to myself, you cannot win a race pulling like this. I expected him that he was pulling so hard that he'd be beat before the home turn.
Yeah.
But he was still going through. I just can't believe what I'm watching here. That he's actually going to go by this horse.
You still think he's a Grade 1 horse going forward?
I do. I think he's a chance in maybe something like the Supreme Novices still, yeah.
Oh, you think he'll go over hurdles, yeah?
I would. What's he? He's 7-year-old now.
Yeah.
He has to go over hurdles soon. I mean, he could run in one maiden hurdle.
And go.
And I couldn't see why he couldn't. I was looking at 40, 51. I think he's a great price, to be honest. Like Mellon did it with one run, and Ebazine won the Supreme with one run.
Yeah.
Like this horse has been to Cheltenham before in the hurly-burly of a bumper.
And ran stink.
Yeah, he did, but the ground was desperate now at the same time.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think the ground even the other day wouldn't even claim to be straight.
I think he traded 4 to 6 to be Fasa Vega Punchestown.
Yeah.
He travelled all over him, yeah.
I think that he's probably a horse that has plenty of schooling done already. He won't need to have that much experience. I think he's a lively outsider for a Cheltenham Supreme.
So that's Redemption Day. Put him in your tracker according to Johnny Dineen. Could win the Supreme. A horse kept coming up on Twitter that I have to ask you about, and I know we're in the segment with Eyecatcher of the Week. King of Kingsfield.
Yeah.
You were mad keen to lay him over Christmas.
Well,
Is he now a Supreme contender?
No, not at all, no. I backed the favourite against him, but there's another horse that pulled his chances away.
Mirazur West.
Yeah, and maybe King of Kingsfield appreciated being ridden slightly differently, settling in and being maybe not ridden as forcibly as he was other days. But Mirazur West pulled and dragged so hard and ran too free that when horses come to the business of in the race, they have nothing left.
He's a good horse, King of Kingsfield.
Oh, he is a good horse. He's a 130-something horse. Like I don't think he is.
Okay.
I don't think he is. And look, I don't, okay, he's been second to Farnell Glory in the Grade 1, and that form has been boosted since. You could say, like, if he runs in the Supreme Novices Hurdle, he won't be cited in my eyes anyway.
King of Kingsfield.
No.
He'll travel away like a dream. He mightn't win it, but he'll travel as well as anything.
That's no good. You have to win.
So you have to be a stayer to win the Supreme?
Well, you have to get, there's no good going up to your ticket and saying he travelled well for a mile and a half.
Yeah.
You showed it to the lady behind
Maybe
the
they should
counter.
run him in the Ballymore, Johnny.
I don't know what they should do, but look, I think King of Kingsfield, he's too exposed to be a realistic winner of a race like that. Anyway. But that's my reading of many. But I do think that it went, like, he was another horse now that ran 2-3 Alting Mirrors West, and usually when it comes to the end of the race, them horses have nothing left. So it might have been easier to pass him than it should have been.
Okay, there you go. But Johnny Dineen's Eyecatcher of the week. A lot of people would have been bitterly disappointed because they backed Redemption Day and they didn't collect. But Johnny Dineen is saying, don't give up on Redemption Day. So now it's time for what's happening this week. Not quite the festive fair we had at Leopardstown in Kempton, but we have got Naas on Sunday for the Grade 1, the Laurels of Naas Novice Hurdle. We have got the Veterans Handicap Chase Final at Sandown on Saturday, and we're actually going to preview a first on this show, Johnny. 2 races from Plumpton, of all things. Have you ever been to Plumpton?
No, I haven't actually, no. And fellas did I speak to, they like it anyway, so I might go there at some stage. It wouldn't be a place that I'd say definitely won't be in my lifetime, yeah.
Okay, so we're going to kick off with the Veterans Handicap Chase, 3 o'clock Sandown on Saturday. These Veterans races, Johnny, are you a fan?
Oh no, I'm a fan for having a cup of tea while they're on. I don't like them at all. 10, 11-year-old, 12-year-old horses, there's no consistency with those things.
Well, our colleague Paul Keeley in the Racing Post said how much he loves these races and thinks the fact that the Talworth is gone from this meeting doesn't matter because we've got this Veterans Final.
Yeah, I genuinely don't even look at these horses now, to be honest. Once they reach double figures, I think your horses are going to the kind of Jekyll and Hyde category anyway a lot of the time, you know.
So you're an ageist now, are you?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, you could watch the races, but I don't want to bet on them at the same time. I don't trust them when they get too old. Okay,
well, of all these things you can't trust, who you think you could potentially trust?
Look, Sapage won one of those races there. He beat, was it Hero de Menil? Is it that horse?
Lord de Menil.
Lord de Menil, I should say, yeah. Like, he got a 7 or 8 pound penalty.
6.
6 was it? Yeah. Lord de Menil has a chance, I'd say, of reversing. We didn't get the clearest of runs at the stage of that race. Now, Sapage beat him, probably was well on top going to the line. But I think when you get a penalty at that age, you could be vulnerable.
Yeah, but I like Cepage now. I think Cepage is quite lightly raced for an older horse, and I thought he finished out as a race at Cheltenham. He's a good slick jumper, and you know I think he's 143 now. He was 155 a year ago or 2 years ago.
But I just think when the horses get to these ages, ratings mean nothing, virtually nothing anyway. You know what I mean? 155, 14. Some of them wouldn't run to 113. You know what I mean? If they're 143, but some of them can hold their form, others can't. It's a guessing game. If I'd go with Lord de Menil, but it'd be very, very much a token wager.
Okay, I'm with Cepage. I think he can follow up that Cheltenham success from December. Okay, Johnny, we're moving on to the race of the weekend. It's the Laurels of Naas Novice Hurdle. It could be a corker. It sees the rematch between Firefox and Il Atlantique. Have you a strong opinion?
I haven't, no. I mean, there's 3/4 of a link between him and a bumper. And I'd expect it to be close enough again on Sunday if the two of them turn up. I mean, Il Atlantique won 19 and 21 lengths in Gorn. As 40 lengths back to third horse, there was no time to wait. And the other horse put away Ballyburn, which looks really, really good form too.
Yeah.
Like top form, in fact, Firefox. I think if you force me, I'd go Firefox.
Would you?
Yeah. But, I mean, I'd expected the two of them to be hopping off each other going to the last, you know what I mean? So maybe one jump could decide it. I'd go with Firefox, but
there'll be people watching the show and they'll be wondering, Firefox beat Ballyburn in Fairyhouse, fair and square, beat him well. Why is Ballyburn a much shorter price for the Ballymore than Firefox?
I suppose Ballyburn is a real sexy horse, and I suppose the fact that he had a run, admittedly it was only a modest bumper, but Firefox had an outing, Ballyburn didn't. 2 miles, I suppose people are expecting Ballyburn to be better at 2.5 miles. Like, looking at him in Leopardstown, he looked to acquire detail at the same time, Ballyburn, didn't he? Like, I mean, if they met again, Firefox and Ballyburn, I think Ballyburn would be favoured to beat Firefox.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do, and not hugely favoured, but I think he'd be slightly favoured to beat him. And I couldn't say that he wouldn't either. You know what I mean? I wouldn't think there'd be a lot between them on the day. I suppose it's Mullins has a big, huge following as well. And I suppose that's why Little Antique is going to be so tight in the betting too. Like they could have run a number of horses in the race, so you'd have to respect what they do run. I thought they were the two standout horses at the same time. I didn't really fancy anything else in it, to be honest.
Okay.
So I'd slightly go with Firefox, but I wouldn't be ramming it down your throat at the same time.
Okay, perfect. It's Firefox for Johnny. I think that's really tough to call. I'm going to sit on the fence. Moving to Plumpton for their big day on Sunday, Johnny. The Stairs handicap hurdle. I thought Eldorado Allen was interesting back over hurdles here off 143, £10 lower than his chase mark. I thought it was a good piece of placing by Joe Tizard. Just he's showing still that the enthusiasm is there. I thought he ran well for a long way in the old Hennessy. What do you like in it?
Look, I'm just only guessing the fact that Chepstow is off so early in the week that you're talking swimming action in Plumpton, won't you? Like a little bit bad ground, and like I'm going to go with a horse with a low weight. I like low weights on bad ground anyway in these kind of handicaps. I'm going to go with a horse called Transmission. I think he's in with about 10 stone 1. He's been transferred from Colin Murphy to Neil Mulholland. I think he's running off 118. So you take the Irish, like, extra £7 they normally give him, you're talking 110, 111. I think he's definitely that kind of a horse at the same time. This distance will suit him. Ground will be no issue. He was second in the pocket in the maiden hurdle in Wexford, if you go back in this form. Though some of his other runs between here and then, not as good. But I think he's lively now at with 10 stone 1, I think he's a good chance.
Okay, that is Transmission for Johnny Dineen. And the big one, the Sussex National.
Like, you're talking 3.5 miles here, and there's going to be some slog, isn't it? Yeah. Again, it would be going with one that wouldn't be overburdened. I've got a chance Sporting Ace, belong to Neil King. Yeah. Look, again, this would be a race for minimal stakes for me, to be honest. I like long distance handicap chases. Don't really appeal to me, really, to be honest. I just have a very simple, always stuck by a thing. The longer the race, the longer in the national hunt, the shorter in the flat are the two worst betting mediums.
Right.
So 5
sprints on the flat.
5 furlong sprints and 3.5 mile chases.
Not for you.
Not really, no.
What was the name of the horse you fancy?
Sporting Ace.
Sporting Ace. Okay, Sporting Ace for Johnny and that. And I'm hoping it's a big day for the Tizards, because I thought Rose of Arcadia was interesting. I thought she ran a cracker the last day, actually, against some decent horses like Gallia de la Toe. And if she settled in the early part of the race, I thought she was a big player. So there you go. That's what's happening this week. It's middling, but it's all right.
Yeah, look, it's just something to watch, and we'll have Cork hopefully on Sunday as well, or Saturday, and Naas is a great card Sunday. Yeah. That'll be great racing, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So there you go. That is what's happening this week. It's midweek treat time here on Upping The Ante, where Johnny Dineen gives us one bet to back before the weekend to set up your funds for Saturday on Sunday. So we're looking ahead to Friday this week. Unlucky last week, Johnny. You hit the crossbar with Waterford Whispers. Big drifter, actually. But you hit the crossbar, Waterford Whispers. Finished second in the novice handicap hurdle at Leopardstown. So what have you got for us this week to make up for it?
Well, hopefully I'll make up for it. I suppose the fact that Waterford Whispers drifted was probably due to the fact there was so much money for the other one.
The Mullins thing, yeah.
Bombs money for that. Anyway, look, it ran its race. Waterford Whispers the same, just wasn't good enough. Anyway, this week I'm going to chance a horse called Josie Alice.
Josie Alice.
Josie. Josie, and then Alice, yeah.
You're going with Josie?
Josie, yeah.
Josie
Wales. 12:45 Musselburgh. It's tomorrow. Ground is going to be tough in Musselburgh. I was watching a meeting there. That was on the other day, and the ground was lot slower than normal. It's almost 3 miles, which is up Josie's street, because Josie slows a boat.
Josie, yeah.
Josie's she's not the quickest now, but it's an ordinary maiden hurdle. There's a horse that won a bumper in the stall, and it's gone to for DJ Jeffrey's chosen something. Johnny Buck's riding it, but I think it was a weak race. It won now, a very weak race. It won it in the stall bumper. It was around 20-1, and there's another horse that you'd give a chance to that has a point-to-point win as well. Look, Josie, she ran well in a few bumpers, and I'd say she wants the trip, and she's ridden by a young fella called Wadge, who's good.
Patrick Wadge
is decent.
Good, yeah.
I think he's good. Yeah, he's good. So I think she'll outstay these anyway. This is, look, if she's ever going to win a maiden hurdle, this is it anyway.
Josie Alice is Johnny Dineen's midweek treat. The time of the race?
12:45.
12:45 at
Musselburgh
on Friday. Josie Alice is the midweek treat. So it's DJ versus JD time here on Upping The Ante, our weekly charity bet competition. And here's what happened on the show last week.
Look, I'd be surprised if Captain Teague would. I think once you missed in that race in Cheltenham as being a good horse, he's a right horse for me anyway.
Okay, I think you're wrong.
No, I'm right. And you're wrong.
Well, Mr. Johnny Dineen. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, Captain Teague.
Exactly. You
were adamant Captain Teague would not be winning.
And
you
were like Danny Mullins, you just didn't listen. You just won't listen.
I didn't listen, and by God, I was glad I didn't listen.
Yeah, fair play. No, he won a good race, to be fair. He stayed at it well anyway, you know.
As far as he's a good, what was the quote exactly? As far as being a good horse is concerned, not a hope. He's not a good horse.
I still stand by that now. As being a top horse,
But he's won a Grade 1 now.
I know hear what he won.
Top horses only win Grade 1.
Yeah, you could pour a bit of cold water on that theory at the same time. Look, he won a good race, and I'd say the conditions helped him.
Brilliant jockey.
He jumped well, great ride, yeah. And like when he was coming up the straight at the third end, I thought he was going to win easy.
Yeah.
I thought like he was travelling like a real, but he was maybe he was like lobbing along in front or waiting for it or something like it was slow motion stuff.
Can you answer me a question, Johnny Dineen? Because I can't figure this out. Okay. Why on earth, in some racetracks, including Newbury for the Shallow Hurdle meeting, and including Newbury all the time, and Haydock especially, why on earth, in hurdle races especially, is there this monumental running? Why? What sense is there for putting the last hurdle so far away from the finishing line? It's a jumps race, and surely the ability to jump a hurdle at a crucial stage in the race is one of the attributes that horses should have over jumps. And then you get a race at Haydock, and it's like a separate race from the last of the line. Why is there not a hurdle 150 yards, 200 yards from the line at these meetings?
Yeah, look, I couldn't answer that. I suppose there is room.
I actually think it's spoiling races. I think it is. I think the best horses, in a lot of cases, get so tired and so lonely on these long run-ins that it almost... I think in a lot of cases, the best horse isn't winning some of these races because I find the running ridiculous at Newbury and the running ridiculous at Haydock.
Well, I think the best horse wins at Newbury. That's what I think.
I do, and I love the track.
Yeah.
But I think the running is too long. Even on the chase course and the hurdles course, I think the running is too long. And especially at Haydock especially on the hurdle track, wrecks my head.
Yeah, look, I don't really know. I suppose there is room. I'd say there was 4 hurdles in the straight before the Newbury at the same time.
Right.
They've brought it back down to 3.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure about Haydock. There was ever 4 hurdles there. I don't know. There is room for a 4th hurdle in
Newbury.
In both tracks, probably, yeah. Then some tracks, I think I'd rather have the line further away from the last than too close.
Would you?
I would. I think when the run-in is too short, it makes a mess of a race. I think.
But there's a happy medium. I think.
Yeah, I know.
You can't have a furlong and a half of a run-in. Like.
Yeah, there's over a furlong of a run-in. I was looking at it in Newbury anyway, and it's probably I was never in Haydock. So
Captain Teague won his race about 3 times after the last.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's just me getting something off my chest.
I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that is. I still think though that I suppose the jockeys have to time it that you can arrive on the running in the hurdle race in Newbury and win. You know what I mean? Quite easily. Anyway,
that's my rant over. But Captain Teague means I have hit the front in DJ versus JD. My first winner gets me back to minus €25. You got a winner as well, Johnny Dineen. Nick Rockett won. You got 2 to 5, so you got your 70 quid back. So that puts you minus 75 and minus 25. So there's a bit of a respectable look back on the scoreboard.
Oh, that's it, yeah.
You just need to get into profit now. Okay?
That's it, yeah.
Okay, so here we go. This week's charity bet for you is?
My charity bet, I'm going to chance a horse called Will Wild in the first race tomorrow, or Saturday in Cork.
Okay.
It's a 12-12, so that'll be easy to remember.
12-12.
Running at 12 minutes past 12, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will Wild, tell us a bit about
Will Wild was won a bumper in Sligo, beat Blue Devassi. It's just average enough form. It is a maiden hurdle, country maiden hurdle. He'll have no penalty for winning the bumper, which is a help in these places. And he was third to a horse called Key de Bourbon in Naas. A nice bit back out of his ground now. Was ridden a bit patient, too patient if anything. Look, I thought he ran respectable. I don't think it's much of a contest. It's a big field, but there'll be maybe there's 20 runners, but you'll find that there's only 3 or 4 have any chance of winning. And he's a grey horse by Martin. He'll go on the ground, which is important. So he might have that kind of an edge over a horse called Pagan, who's in it, who mightn't be as comfortable in these conditions. That's belong to Mullins and Townend. I just think he's capable of winning an ordinary maiden hurdle, and this is an ordinary maiden hurdle.
Will Wild, yeah. Will Wild in the 12-12 at Cork on Saturday for Johnny Dineen. And I'm sticking with my CPAJ, Johnny. I think 1-4-3, I think that's okay for CPAJ. I think he's still relatively likely race for these veterans races. I think when he's on his A game, he's a pretty good horse. Wasn't far off grade 1 level early on in his career. He's got up to 1-4-3, but as I said earlier on the show, he was up in the high 150s at one stage not so long ago. I just love the way he finished out the last 100 yards at Cheltenham when he beat Lord O'Neill. And I think if he gets into a good rhythm around Sandown, he's got all right form around Sandown over 2 miles from earlier on in his career. I think he could get the job done. So I'm going to have 50 quid at 6-1 with Bet365 on CPAJ in the 3 o'clock at Sandown on Saturday. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was DJ versus JD. So folks, it's time for the festival teams where myself and Johnny Dineen reveal whether we're adding to our lineups for the 2024 Cheltenham Festival. And Johnny, you have some good news this week, and I have some good news because we both have a selection to add to our teams. We're getting them into position now. We're in the new year. New year, new us. And Johnny Dineen, you've got a selection for the first time in a couple of weeks. You've been waiting for this one. Take it away, please.
Yeah, look, I'm going to stick in Factophile for the Brown Advisory. I just think that's the most likely race. Like, he could run in any number of races, but I don't think they won't be in a rush to take on Gaelic Warrior with one of their own horses. And I think he's too good a horse to run in the National Hunt Chase, your race. Yeah. And obviously I don't think you can see him go back to 2 miles. So the only other races left by a process of elimination is the Brown Advisory.
He's a good horse, isn't he?
I think he is, even though he won a no race, beating absolutely nothing. Excuse me. He won with authority. His jumping was immaculate.
And safe.
Yeah, safe, yeah.
Lovely feet in front of
which is what you want in a place like Cheltenham. And I could see him lobbing along here behind Stay Away for you and maybe picking him off. I think it's whatever price he is.
7-1, Bet365, Factophile.
I think that's pretty fair. He's the horse, to me, is the horse they have to beat in that division right now.
Okay, that is Factophile at 7-1 for Johnny Dineen. Already tipped up by me in the National Hunt Chase, unfortunately. But after Corbis Cross was beaten by Grangeclare West at Leopardstown last week, it's looking unlikely that we'll get him to the National Hunt Chase. But Johnny is going Factophile for the Brown Advisory, 7-1, Bet365. And the latest member of my team, it's in the Mayor's Hurdle, and it's trained by Willie Mullins as well. And it's Ashore Diamond. Ashore Diamond at a standout 9-1 with Bet365. I think is value, Johnny. I think there's too much of a difference in the price between Lossiemouth, who we haven't seen yet this season, and Ashore Diamond. You have to remember, Ashore Diamond run against Tihupu and Imperial Pass, not being disgraced, running a perfectly respectable race. And even if you look back to last season, running against Facile Vega. Now, I know Facile Vega was disappointing over Christmas, but it's solid enough grade 1 form against the boys. And I just think in the Mayor's Hurdle, when she gets back against her own sex, she didn't make Cheltenham last year, and then she went to Fairyhouse and absolutely bolted up in the grade 1 Mayor's Novice Hurdle at Fairyhouse at Easter. I think she's a really talented mare. She's rated a couple of pounds below Lossiemouth, but Lossiemouth obviously won the Triumph Hurdle. But we haven't seen Lossiemouth, and she was entered in the Relkeel Hurdle, which we thought she might go for at Cheltenham. So I just think with a doubt, when you haven't seen a favourite in a race, I'm sure she's fine, she was entered at Cheltenham, but when you haven't seen a favourite in a race, maybe the market is ripe for just picking something now. And I thought Ashore Diamond, who I thought enhanced her reputation with a good run behind Tihupu and Imperial Pass in the Hatton Squares Hurdle, I think she's a solid option at around 9-1. I think she's a big player, and I don't think she'll be 9-1 on the day, no matter what Lossiemouth comes out and does. So my latest member of my Cheltenham Festival 2024 team is Ashore Diamond at 9-1 with Bet365 for the Mayor's Hurdle. Have you joined the Racing Post Members Club? Well, if you haven't, there's still 50% off the first 3 months.
Members Club is now available on the Racing Post app. All Members Club subscribers can now access premium news and tips anytime, anywhere. Plus, if you're not already a member, you'll get 50% off your first 3 months. If you haven't already subscribed yet and want to join the greatest club in racing, simply visit racingpost.com/subscribe.
So that's it, folks. That's it for episode 9 of Upping The Ante. Thanks for watching. And eagle-eyed viewers amongst you will know that Johnny did say that you would wear your Planets jumper, as I call it, if Captain Teague won the Shallow Hurdle. And Captain Teague did win the Shallow Hurdle. And Johnny Dineen, you were wearing a brand new DKNY jumper that probably cost about 200 quid. Why are we not seeing the planets?
I actually had it thrown out. I knew I had anyway.
Did you throw it out?
I did. Well, I gave it to a charity shop, yeah. Actually, I couldn't wear it after the ridding I got the last time.
You got some grilling, didn't you?
I did, yeah. Unexpectedly, no, but when I had a good look at it again when I went home, I said it's maybe so.
Yeah.
It could have been justifiable, all right, yeah. I didn't realise what kind of a creature of a thing it was. So, look, it's gone now anyway, unfortunately. It's gone, yeah.
Okay.
It is.
Okay, so it's gone. So tell me this, Johnny, what is happening this week now? I know this Naas card on Sunday, featuring the Lawlers and Lace Novice Hurdle, the next grade 1 in Ireland. This is a card you like to go to. You've been over the years.
I was going to go, and my little fella has a match on a Sunday, Disaster, and it's away, and we have to drive him, and he likes
Daddy going.
He takes a fairly dim view now if you don't show.
Really?
Yeah, he's not that happy about it. So
what age is he?
He's only 12. He'll be 13 soon, but he's
good. Is he good?
Yeah, he's a nice player. Yeah.
Where does he play?
Up front. He's striker. Yeah. Oh, he's a goal hanger and a goal scorer. Yeah, exactly. You know, he's not.
What do they call lodging? Does he lodge?
He's not mad on expending energy now. You know what I mean? But once the ball comes to his feet, he's going to give it a good hoof into the net and all that kind of stuff. But
he wouldn't be doing much movement.
No.
You don't need to do a DNA test then.
No. But he likes me turning up now. To be fair, you know, so I'll have to go to that instead. So, but I'll probably be home for the first race. Because it's an early kick-off, 10 o'clock. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's
okay. So you get the best of both worlds. Then.
Yeah, exactly. So I can't make this, but I was going to go because it's my type of racing. And a couple of maiden hurdles there, and novice chase, and the Lawlers and Ace, and a bumper there with there's often a good thing in that race too. You know, so no, it's quite a decent card.
Okay, so there you go. And you've started 2024 on the front foot. Are you in front for the first few days?
It's New Year's Day. I had a real belt off of that my trump card beat, but worked my way back to nearly breaking even in the day. I was thrilled now to get out of trouble, and won the following day back to horse. I'd left me down a few times. Esprit de Portier,
Esprit de Portier, upstairs and that.
Yeah, there was the third time I faced it now, and at least he won. So I'd no bet.
Slightly up.
I'd no bet, Jesse. So I'm winning something, yeah. But it's very early days.
Very early days. There you go. So 2024 has started well for Johnny Dineen. Hopefully it started well for you too. We'll be back at the usual day, a usual time of 6 o'clock on Tuesday. We're back to normality. We had our 2 Thursdays over the festive period, but we're back to normality next Tuesday, 6 o'clock, same time, same place. It'll be episode 10. We'll be halfway there. The Cheltenham Festival is fast approaching. Join us on Upping The Ante next Tuesday at 6 o'clock. But for now, this has been episode 9 of Upping The Ante. I've been David Jennings. He's been Johnny Dineen. Thanks for watching.